Okay, so well, welcome. Again, this is just kind of I wanted to do a live Zoom here sometime in the middle of the semester. That way, everybody, if you wanted to you have an opportunity to ask a question live, sometimes those questions are easier to ask face to face or in person than they are. And also, this gives me a chance to talk about our presentation and our more of our project based things that are coming up and kind of take a look at how this class goes for the rest of the time. Because really, up until now, you've been doing some writing, you've been doing some looking at resources and come up with stuff. Now we're actually going to do some projects where you will build projects. And a quick note on how I want to do this in this class, just so you understand. Some people, I think, just it seems like I'm just throwing stuff out there. Actually, these are pretty thought out activities. And what I'm trying to do is through each of these projects where you're working on like tools. So today, this week will be a presentation tool. So if you think of presentation tools in the old sense, or just traditionally, you're thinking like PowerPoint. Now, I'm assuming most people have done PowerPoint, so we're not going to do a PowerPoint, but I am going to let you pick stuff. So what we'll do is I will give you, I have lots of resources that you can look at, and you will look and do a little research, and you will pick the tool that is best for you. Depending on what you teach, depending on what age level you teach, depending on a number of things, what you like to do and how you like to use presentation tools, that'll be up to you. And I'm happy to have you use whatever you want, and build something. Now, how you want to do this is when we start our projects is you want to have a lesson. So this could be a lesson that you've already created. Maybe you've taken core teaching and you created a lesson, and you can use that lesson. Or you made a lesson for another class, or there's just something that you would like to teach about. So my suggestion, and it's not required, but my suggestion is that I would take one lesson. So if I have let's say I have a full out lesson plan, like Kevin over here in my class, I know has lesson plans that we've done in PE. So take that lesson plan, and throughout the whole semester, the rest of the semester, as we do these projects, build your projects off of that one lesson plan. What happens is you start to get some consistency, you start to build off of it. And what happens at the end of it, you have this one lesson plan with all these different technology enhancements to it. Okay. So that's kind of my thought on those. So this week we'll be talking about presentations and how you use stuff to present materials to people. So I'm sure in many of your classes, teachers have got up there, they've thrown up PowerPoints or Google Slides, and they use it to teach the subject. Now, I'm a big believer in the only time you should use technology at all, but especially presentation stuff, is if it's going to make that learning experience better. If you're just doing it because that's what everybody else has done in the past, and everybody else puts all the information on a PowerPoint and they put up a slide, then they go to the next slide and they read through the whole PowerPoint, and they go to the next slide and they just read the PowerPoint. To me, that's not very effective. Nobody wants to hear that. I've been to a number of conferences that when I go to those conferences and I go to listen to people talk, what they do is I sit down, they put up a PowerPoint, they put up the first slide, they read everything they put on the first slide, then they go to the next slide and they read everything and such and such and such. And I'm sure you have classes that are taught like that. I've really tried to go away from that because I find it as a teacher, it almost handcuffs me a little bit, and I get caught up in it. And what I start doing is reading off PowerPoints. So let's try not to do that. So we need to think about what is a good presentation. Why would we use presentation materials in our classroom, in our gym, wherever it may be that you're teaching? So the idea is I want to use something that engages my students in the learning process, that allows them to learn the information better, that uses images, that uses graphics, that uses words where appropriate. What I don't want to have is just a blank page, lots of words. So when you do this, think of what you like to see when a teacher uses a presentation tool, when a teacher does a PowerPoint, when a teacher uses, now a big thing is Canva. I love Canva. I like using it. I like making presentations with it. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit as we go through this. But what I'm not looking for is just your everyday, a bunch of words, basically copy pasting from a book and putting it on there and reading it. If that's what you're going to do, then you need to find a different way to teach, because that's a very boring way to teach. So what I want to do is share my screen with you in a second. And at any time, if you have questions, throw them in the chat, or just say, hey, Mark, I have a question. So I'm going to share my screen here. And what you should see now is, I'm going to move this over here. You should see, basically, it's our modules. Is everybody seeing that? Okay. So let's take a look at this. This is not published to you. This will be this video. But kind of looking at going here to week 7, the start here page. So what we're going to do, and we have our Zoom tonight, and then looking at the resources, the biggest thing is we have our assignment due, our presentation tool assignment. Let's just go kind of right to that. That is due this Thursday at 11:59. I will tell you, not saying anybody here is doing this, but we are having a number of students, almost 20 students did not turn their work in last week. This semester is going to fly. And if you get behind, it's going to be really hard to catch up. Not that I'm going to give you too much work that you can't do it, but I know you're really busy in your other classes. So what I want you to do is to be able to create a presentation using a technology tool, somehow using technology tool. And then you are going to evaluate other people's technology tools, their presentations. And the first thing we want to do, though, is we want to evaluate multiple different kinds of presentation tools. So what I want you to do is explore at least 3 different presentation tools. Now, I have a bunch listed here. And then if you go into the resources, which I'll look at in a little while, you'll see that there's a lot more there. There's articles on there. There's presentations, everything. You are going to pick 3. You can find training videos, articles if it helps. It's up to you. I have some here. You can use those. You don't have to. But if you notice right here in black, in big, bold, and black letters, do not use PowerPoint. If you put a PowerPoint, I will just write back, I'm not accepting PowerPoints. Why? Because I'm sure that you have already done a PowerPoint in your life. This is about learning something new. So try to do something different. I'd rather see you take a chance and do something different, and maybe it doesn't turn out as great as you had hoped, but you got an opportunity to experience something different. I would rather you do that than just do something. Also, I don't want you just going, oh, I have a PowerPoint I can throw in there. So try to come up with something new. These are some examples. Okay, a lot of them, a lot of different examples. So what you're going to do is, after you look at 3 different ones, and you have to look at 3 because you're going to list them. After you look at 3 of them, kind of do some research, pick the one that best meets your needs and what you want for your grade and content level. Then create a project to present information that enhances the learning experience to your students. So if you're teaching something to the students, how can you use a presentation to enhance that lesson? And again, I'm just going to keep saying this throughout the time. A bunch of words and text on a slide does not enhance the lesson. It bores the sin out of everyone. Just do something exciting with it. Make it enhancing, make it engaging. Then, so here's the project. Should be specific content you want the students to learn in an informative way. Should not be a PowerPoint with words and lists. Okay, be creative. Think about what you want. Now, here's something you need to keep in mind. You need to make sure your project is accessible to others. So for example, if you use a Google slide, you need to make sure we can all see your Google slide. I shouldn't have to ask for or request access to it. So you need to make it public, or say anybody with this link can see it. If you don't do that, you're going to get like a 0, and then I'll have to tell you to make sure I get access to it. So we won't be able to grade it. After you do that and you submit them, starting on Friday morning, so at 11:59, these are due on Thursday night. At 12 a.m. Friday, you will be assigned 2 peer reviews. So rather than discussions, you will get 2 peer reviews. So you will go look at other people's, two other people's projects. And by Sunday, you will evaluate them. And now you're going to use the rubric and you're going to make a comment. Now, to do this, you have to do two things. And this really doesn't take us that much time. But you have to fill out the rubric and you have to make a comment in the comment box. So two different things to get points. You get 5 points for the peer reviews. 5 points. If you don't do them, if you don't do both the rubric and the comment, you get 0 points. If you don't do either, you get 0 points. So you have to do both. Okay, and I have a video here on how to do peer reviews. We're going to go over there in a second. When you make your comment, I want you to make your comments based on appearances, any information learned, and the ability to engage students. Now, here's another little caveat for this. Think of this really important. Those peer reviews are only assigned to those people who have submitted their assignments. So if you have not submitted your assignment at 11:59 Thursday, you'll say you turned it in Friday at 12:05. You will not get assigned a peer review. And if you're not assigned a peer review, you can't do a peer review. So not only will you lose some points for being late, you would lose points for not doing the peer review. So the only way to get those peer reviews is to turn your assignment in on time. So before I go to examples here, I have this video. So if you click on this, it goes to right here. It's a little YouTube video, and it talks about how to do a peer review. So there's a couple of things I want to point out real quick. I'm going to go back a little bit. So when you get done, you will look after that. I'm actually just going to play this for you, to be honest, because it just makes it easier. I hate to play a video in a video, but for this purposes, I'm going to. So when you open that assignment back up after that day, so on Friday, you open the assignment back up, you're going to look over here and there will be 2 people where it says assigned peer reviews. You'll have 2 people. Okay, so I want to go back to that because we are going to do a rubric. So you will add a comment here, plus you will do the rubric. That rubric is on the top right there, so you will see this. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to click show rubric. And the reason I'm showing you this video is I can't show you this on Canvas because I don't have access to the assignments. Like they don't show, that doesn't show up to me, but I will show you our rubric. So you'll show the rubric, you'll do that, and then you'll make a comment based on these 3 things. And if you have any other questions with how to do that, that video is right there. So let's take a look at an example. A Prezi is a very popular one. Now, I'm not saying this is this is the best thing I've ever seen. What I am saying is this is a very, hold on one second, very appropriate presentation. So if I go through here, this is talking about the history of transportation. So again, images, colors, some text. Go to the next one. See how we're doing images, colors, some text. And that goes on through the whole thing. Okay, and so this is something she could use with her students and then have any questions. Let's go over here. So this is another one. This is a video presentation. Lead up to pickleball for my PE people who think you can't use stuff. So it's showing us the grip and then how you grip here, and it's showing us the serve. and then a forehand. Again, rather than just a bunch of words on how to do it, it just gives you an idea. So if you were still say you were sharing this with somebody, wanted to send it home to them, or you wanted to have a station, and let's look at the final example, is an infographic. I thought this was really well done. An infographic, second, is a lot of information put onto something. So I basically go down, and again, you can see how using just some themes and some bullets, different pictures. This person was talking about this book, The Giraffes Can't Dance, talking about the moral behind it. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a step-to-step thing. You are presenting material in a way that is engaging, in a way that helps somebody learn. Now, some teachers do not like to hand out their PowerPoints because they think they're some kind of proprietary, and I made this and I don't want anybody to have it. I think you should think of this is something I could also give to the students, something they could use to review. So here are the requirements. This is what you have to submit. 1, you need to list the 3 presentation tools reviewed. You can put this at the beginning of your presentation if you want. You can put this in the comment box if you want. You can put this as a text into your submission. Somewhere this needs to be seen, and please make it so it is obvious. So just put down the 3 tools. So you might say, I looked at Canva, I looked at Google Slides, and I looked at Prezi, and I picked Prezi. But you would put those 3 down there. Then you will submit your presentation, however you want to do that. Through Google, a link is really good. That's usually the best, some kind of a link to it, or you'll download it or put it in as a file. So projects can be submitted through file uploads or a link. If you're giving me a link or a file, remember, I have to have access to it. That is due at 11:59. Remember, if you don't have it in at 11:59, you will not get assigned a peer review. That's worth 5 points. And finally, your peer reviews are due Sunday at 11:59. Okay. Now let's take a look at what I'm looking for and how I'm going to grade it, and what you're going to look through as the rubric. So you will come through and give them these points. 1, are the 3 tools listed? If they're not listed, that's 0. So you get 3 points just for listing the tools. Next, content. So this is, you can kind of see in here what I mean. Information on the slides reflects understanding. Effective summarization information has not been copied from, you're just copied and pasted. You have something there that's really good, and there's some content to it. Next, the design elements. It's not just boring. It's not just a blank slide with words or just one color. There's some images to it. There's graphics. There's different kinds, again, pictures are great. Different kinds of fonts. Then you get 5 points for just turning it in on time. And finally, your 5 points for your peer reviews. So when you're doing this, obviously this right here and this right here, if you see it, then it was done on time, so you can click it. And then as far as peer reviews, just give them points. It doesn't matter. Just click the points. In fact, you don't even have to put on anything, but you can just give them one here or the other. Then remember, you will go down and you will make a comment. So if you look kind of through here, you can see I have provided you with a lot of different resources, a lot of different things that you can use. You don't have to use them. You can find your own if you find out that better, but there's enough here to do this. So before I move on that, are there any questions over that assignment that you can think of that maybe somebody would have? I mean, it is pretty self-explanatory, but we tend to have people, the peer reviews become a big thing, and I'll be sending out lots of emails to people, or we'll be making lots of comments that people need to do their peer reviews. A tip for you on this, and I try to do this when I'm teaching. Now, I know this is kind of a boring thing, because I'm just trying to get you the information and I'm trying to provide this. But one thing is, think about if you were a student, go back and look at your presentation. And if you're a student and a teacher was just giving you that material, is that something that would interest you? So we used to do, when I would do this class face-to-face, we would have a little bit of a conversation, and we would say, what do you like about presentations? What do you not like about presentations? And people would write everything down, what they like, and then they would write down what they don't like. And it was always amazing how many people still did stuff that they wrote down that they didn't like, if that makes sense. We tend to do that. We know it's right. We know it looks good, but then we just want to throw it together. Okay. It does not have to be, over a specific lesson plan. I would encourage you to do that. I think it makes it way easier. You don't have to, but it should be content within what you want to teach. So if you're not a PE teacher, if you're not in our PE and health program, and I'll know who you are because I know all my teachers, do not do a PE or a sports lesson. You should do something specific to your content. Same thing with my PE people. I don't want to see a history lesson from somebody who's going to be a PE teacher. Do something within your content and do it within your age. Don't say, well, it'd be easy to do this. A couple of other things. Just going to throw this out there. I do not want to see a presentation on how to tie shoes or how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich or how to make coffee. These are things that we've had in the past. You do not need a presentation to teach a kid how to tie shoes. It shouldn't take a presentation. It's not going to make the experience like when you're with kindergartners. You do not need to put up a presentation on how to tie shoes. You can just show them how to tie shoes. Now, on the alternative side of that is one time I did have an ag student do a presentation on how to make a apple pie, but she went tree to pie. She went through how to, pick an apple off the tree, how to know what the ripe ones are, to how do you, cut the apple up, how do you, the whole kit and caboodle. That was something that I like that. If you're a FACS teacher, you could do some kind of baking. That is fine too. But I don't want to see just things that I know you're just that are just boring. And we will just tell you that and have you redo it. Okay. Now, if through all of this, you do the presentation, you're missing something. Let's say you don't list the 3 things and I give you a 0 on that, or Josh, whoever's grading yours, we'll have to kind of tag grade these because there are a lot. I think we have 100 people in this class. So that's 100 of these presentations we grade. So if I were to look at that and I say, oh, you don't have this, and you get a 0 or less points for something, you can always go back and fix it. So if, let's say you didn't have those listed and I put on there 0, you didn't list them, you can add that and tell me that you put them in there and I will regrade if you don't have enough or whatever. So if the content, I think we want about 6 slides-ish. If you're doing a slide thing, this should not just be one unless you're doing the infographic. There should be some meat to it. All right?
I do have a question, Dr. Ellen.
Absolutely.
Is it a separate assignment listed for the peer reviews, or is it all added into one? Because I feel once it's off a to-do list or whatever, like I know that if I don't see it again, then I'll forget.
So you will not, you just have to know that you have a peer review due Sunday. And that's a good question because that will not be listed as an assignment in your to-do list. What I will probably do this time is I will send out a message that says, hey, just a reminder. I will also say this. If I go in there and you have not done your peer reviews, we will tell you to do your peer reviews and you can go back and do them, if that makes sense. So let's say you forget it. You just, hey, it's Sunday night. Now, remember, these are available Friday. At 12 a.m. Friday, your peer reviews will be available if you submitted the assignment. But if for some reason you don't turn it in, you forget or something, but we will give you an opportunity to fix that. That makes sense. And that's a great question. And that's one of the biggest, I think, troubles with discussions and these kind of things is it's not that you don't want to do them. You just kind of don't think about it after you submitted your assignment. So you're not the only one on that. That is very common. So that's why we do give you a little grace on that. Now, why are we doing peer reviews? Let me finish with this. Why are we doing peer reviews other than you think that I'm just trying to be mean and give you busy work? I have 100 of these to grade. I'm going to fill out the rubric. That's how I'm going to grade it. So if you want to know what I think of it, just look at the rubric. I want you to be able to look at other people's, see what people have done. You might find out that somebody did something that you hadn't even thought of, or you didn't even know that was an option. You also are going to get feedback from 2 other people other than just me or Josh. You will get actual feedback from other people. Now, we want to stay positive. We want to just tear people up, but we want to give all, somebody might say like, this is really good. I think it could use some more colors. It could use some more splash, whatever, or it could use some more images. And that's okay. You will not, your grade, what you give people on the rubric will not be their grade. You are not responsible for their grade. So let's say you were just being really mean and you went in and put zeros on everybody. They're not getting a 0. Does that make sense? Josh or I, whoever grades it on our side will be the final grade. So don't feel worried like, oh, I don't want to do something and be responsible for their grade. You will not give them their grade. You are giving them an evaluation based on what you think. Okay? But this is an opportunity for you to see what other people do and an opportunity for you to evaluate and see what it's like to look at other people's and see if you like their stuff and give some feedback. Okay. Now I just want to I want to do one more thing before I get off here. I want to screen share here so you can kind of say, I think you'll like this if we start looking through it. So if we look where we are now, we're on week 7. If we go to week 8, I want everybody to pay attention because this digital assessment evaluation, make sure you're paying attention because we will see if it is due. I will let you know this week or if it is due or not. We may take this off because this presentation is kind of a big one. So then if you look here, right here is where you'll build a digital assessment. You would use all the information here to build a digital assessment. A digital assessment is just somehow using technology on a test. I'm not going to get too into it, but a Kahoot, for example, is a digital assessment. Then if you look, that's week 9. This is the week you come, or actually that's got to change because that's not where that needs to be. That's the following week after spring break. But if you look here after spring break, we have 2 weeks to do this assignment, this Adobe Express assignment. We have 2 weeks. Then right here, you have this, but that's not due till the end of April. So you don't have anything due that week. Right here, that is an extra credit project. So if you want to do it, I would encourage you to, but if you don't want to, you don't have to, but it is extra 20 points extra credit. Down here, you can see the video. And then if you think about that, we have a final reflection and we are done. So you really only have, if you think about it, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4 actual projects, basically actual projects due the rest of this semester. Now, some of the projects, the reason I gave you a couple of weeks is they take a little time, but I want to make sure you have that time. So you really have, we really space it out because I know this is when all your other classes get really busy. Okay. So any questions? Final chance for questions. Hopefully everybody's kind of getting through. Everybody, not just these people here that are on the meeting, but this is going out to everybody. Please make sure you're getting your work done. If you are behind, reach out to me. I promise I can help you with it. I promise I can make it a little bit better, a little bit easier. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to get. I don't care what your reasoning is. We'll work through it. Yes, William.
Hey, Dr. Elner, I have a
Yes.
question. I'm finding through this class, I want to teach secondary math, and I'm finding that a lot of the ed tech stuff is a little skimpy when it comes to the math, at least what I'm finding so far. I have been looking at the ed puzzle, and I really like it. My question is, if I decide to use that and can I use a video of someone else teaching a math lesson and then inject my own questions and my own piece on the front or back side? Or would it be needing to be me teaching the lesson in the video, if that makes sense?
Yep. So if you're doing a presentation and you want to throw a video in there somewhere, that is totally fine. So I think yes, William, you can do that. So you can be there and maybe you're kind of doing the formula or whatever, and then you have a video of somebody doing it. Then you come out on the other side and there's some questions. Perfect. Or you have some, like you said, yourself, and how you would explain it with it. I think that's really well done. Now, I will say when we do it, there'll be a video lesson coming up where you create a video. What I usually don't like to have is a video in a video, if that makes sense. So that might be something like where you're talking, you would say, hey, a really good resource is to watch this video. But you absolutely could put a video into your presentation. So great
Okay.
question.
Thank
Great
you.
question. Okay, well, I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to end my video again. Get your stuff in. Let me know however I can help you.